Salutations, shades, and welcome to your one-stop hotspot place for all things strange and unusual, talking with shadows. The conversation everyone has, but no one wants to admit to. Here with your hosts, Vic Waitley.
And Marcus D. And we want to give a shout out to everybody joining us for our 70th episode of the Talking with Shadows podcast. Big round of applause, everybody. Thank you guys so much, by the way, for joining us for this awesome episode. We're super excited. Super appreciate you guys supporting us and getting us this far. We would not have been able to do it without you.
And at that, we're having a blast with it.
We are having a blast with it. The alcohol that we are drinking today, I really want to get to it because I absolutely was blown away by this. So we went over to our fancy, bougie liquor store that we have right down the road from Vic's house.
I can't believe you're just now taking yours out of the paper bag. Listen to that, all that creak.
You were lucky that I really wanted to leave this in the cup holder, by the way, like as we were driving down the road. But no, I was classy and hid it under the floorboards. Floorboards. Thank you very much. Wait, today I am drinking the Dude's Rug, which is a hard cider with Tai Chi spices added. So it's a hard cider. This is awesome. I'm a huge fan.
Wait, is it Tai Chi spices or chai tea spices?
Did I drink before we get over here? I don't know what's wrong with me today. Like I've been mixing stuff up. Like, I mean, I know there are these Taoist Tai Chi spices that are supposed to align your chi, but I'm pretty sure that's not what's in there. I can't believe it. Anyway, but I'm super excited that we're drinking this hard cider, the Dude's Rug. I think it's really going to tie the podcast episode together. I really do.
He's obsessed with the Big Lebowski, and this is apparently some sort of Big Lebowski inspired cider.
It was a reference. If you got that reference, by the way, you are a better person.
I did not get it.
That's fine. That's because you are not the best of people, like the people that got that reference right there. I'm actually in a Big Lebowski appreciation group on Facebook. It's got over 100,000 people in it.
Aren't you ordained in the Church of the Dude or something?
I am actually. Yes, my littlest sister asked me to ordain her wedding, not because she wanted. I don't think honestly she did it because she cared about me and wanted me to be a part of it. I think it's because she's a cheapskate and wanted me to do it for free. But that was the reason why I'm ordained in the Church of the Latter-day Dude. We have some very nice holidays that are all circulated around John Goodman. John Goodman and how am I a fan of these guys? Jeff Bridges, thank you. And Jeff Bridges' birthdays, by the way.
Oh, neat.
Mm-hmm.
I am drinking Dragonheart by Crafted Artisan Meadery because I saw you grab something fancy and decided I wanted to do that too. And also, it's kind of in the mood for some mead.
Also, I'm going to throw this out there. Do you see what I see, by the way, on the top of this alcohol, by the way?
Yeah, it's a bee or a fly.
Are you sure it's not a cicada? That looks like Cicada's logo. Like right there, like the internet group.
And it does kind of look like the cicada logo.
Maybe with the wings a little down, but it is like straight up like that. I wonder if they did that.
I'm sure it's not tied to cicada.
I love the side of this. It says, okay, this is something that's on the side, but it says, okay, you're a cider, I'm a cider, that's terrific. But this is not just any cider. This is the Dude's Rug for a spiced chai cider to really chide the room together. Amateurs could not pull off the perfect blend of black tea with cardamom, clove, and cinnamon and ginger. They'll be out of their element. So if you want to be an achiever, drink this cider and abide.
Oh my God.
Nobody messes with the bee. This is the best alcohol
Open that up.
ever.
I want to drink my drink.
No, I don't. Oh God, no! I got caught on our bougie chair that we have here. Okay.
There you go. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. I like how you pick your alcohols for flavor, and I pick mine based on the novelty of what's on the cover.
Oh man.
Oh, that's powerful. I don't know.
Oh, that's good.
I'm gonna have to lie and say I like this. Well, wow, that is some clovey drink.
Here, let me get a swig.
That is some clovey.
I actually really like clove, so I have to try this.
Dude, it's like drinking a clove cigarette.
Holy crap, this is freaking delicious.
Yeah, it's like drinking a clove cigarette. Like, I didn't think I was going to like the taste of it, but that's exactly what this tastes like.
You don't complain. That is a good cider.
Well, you were going to play. I used to let just bum clove cigarettes off of you all the time in college.
Yeah, and I smoke them all the time. They're good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Ooh, wow.
But at that, this dragon heart meat is actually really flipping good too.
Oh, far out, man. Okay,
let's get to some comments.
All right, let's get some comments. If you didn't check out our last episode we did was Hollow Earth Theory. All this month long, we're doing strange Earth theories. In our 69th episode, we talked about Hollow Earth, this whole theory that, you know, right under our crust, there's these whole other biomes and places for like animals and stuff and other civilizations that live inside our Earth. Boom. Sarah S. says, the real draw to it is we all want to go on adventures with Brendan Fraser and will gladly risk melting in the mantle to fantasize about spelunking with George of the Jungle. Might be projecting there. Dude, George of the Jungle would beat up Tarzan, by the way. I'd like to point that out there. I 100% agree with you that I think the vast majority of us would absolutely love to go on an adventure with Brendan Fraser. Now,
Yeah,
I know you don't get this, Vic, but that's okay because you're a hermit. But like, he's like super popular.
Wait, wasn't he the dude from like Encino Man?
Well, yeah, and he was from The Mummy too. But like recently, like he's like he hasn't done a good movie in years. Like I think the last one he did was the Looney Tunes movie.
Oh god, that was god awful.
I know, but that was how long ago it was, and the internet still loves him. Like, and it's great. Like I love it. Like we all adopted him and we're all protecting him. It's great. Austin Lee. I love this theory, but after watching any horror movies about cave-dwelling humans, my first thought is A, cannibals, B, Thalmor from Skyrim, so I hope the Earth isn't hollow.
Okay, I love both of those because I love all the like Hollow Earth goblin things, like goblins living in the caves underneath us. That's a theory I can really get behind. Also, I freaking love Skyrim. I still play Skyrim.
Oh, yeah.
Although my Skyrim's heavily modded to the point it doesn't look like Skyrim anymore. But I love Skyrim.
Which is a common thing when a company puts out a game like that. Then once like the fans get a hold of it, they just make it better.
Oh, yeah. Modded Skyrim is a freaking blast.
Yeah, it was the same thing when it came to Oblivion and Fallout and all those other sorts of games like that. National Cryptid Society said, I used to be fascinated by the Hollow Earth theory, and I still totally enjoy it in movies like Godzilla vs. Kong. However, I am fairly confident that the core is an insanely hot ball of liquid / crystal iron and nickel that creates our geomagnetic fields. So the further down you go, the hotter it gets and the less likely multicellular organisms can survive.
No, I'm with you right there, man.
Yeah, I know, you and your science. However, I find the Swiss cheese Earth hypothesis could be of some validity. Vast cave systems and subterranean lakes and oceans may harbor life and allow creatures unknown to science to thrive. Great topic.
Yeah, now that's something I think I could actually get behind.
Which is true. And like the whole idea that there's these like underworlds, because a lot of people talk about like that's how a lot of the like the plesiosaur, like the Loch Ness monsters get around, is by like these like underground like waterways and caverns, and that's how they like live down there. Like I totally buy that, because keep in mind, like if there was that surrounded by other chunks of rock, then rock probably could survive. We'll be able to be maintained over there to have these kind of biomes under there.
Also, there's likely life. If this is true, there's likely life down there stranger than anything we've imagined before.
Oh,
and
I
I'd
know.
love to see what sort of forms it would.
Oh man, which would probably would be pale and probably wouldn't have eyes and need to see because it's so dark down there. Oh man, it's gonna look like some weird Cthulhu stuff. National Cryptid Society, get on that. That's like something that you should be doing the more that we think about that.
If you plan an expedition, let me know. I probably won't come because I'm a little scared of going like deep underground, but I will send you as many hearts as you like.
Dan Ward says, so you guys bring it up decently often. How's the latest D&D campaign going?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. We are. We're currently playing through Ellie, Vic's wife's Curse of Strahd campaign. We're managing. That's the
barely.
Barely.
We are not doing great. We're very much into the role play of it and making each scene kind of as big as you can. And We kind of turned the like part of the module where you're at the house with the hags into a home invasion.
Yeah, we snuck in there with some hags that had like abducted some kids, and we tried to come up with some creative ways to get the kids out that involved being invisible and
we almost died. We overthought the plan.
We almost died.
So
we
much.
did. It was Let's just go with that. We are still alive. Our characters are alive. Let's just put it that way.
But if you can guess our classes, I will give you a high five.
Yeah, try to guess our classes of what we play in the campaign. Mm-hmm. But if you can guess what our classes are in the campaign, we will send you an episode of a podcast or one of our One Candle TVs if you are not a patron.
Oh, hey, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Or if you're a patron, you get to pick the next One Candle TV video that we do.
Oh, good.
We'll do that one. Either way. So whoever guesses. So there's incentive for you guys to do that. Sarah S. says, be nice to my subterranean, polyamorous, asexual, cottagecore lesbians. They're living their best lives.
And that's all I can ask of anyone. Just go out there and live your best life.
Yeah. I'm going down to Colorado next month. Any locations y'all need spooky pictures and souvenirs from? I feel y'all are looking for pen that writes upside down rather than using the pencil. They don't come up in the daytime when they love to come up at night. They could be giving any notice to nocturnal creepy crawly. Here's an idea. I like this idea of where you want to go in Colorado. Sarah, you send us something and let us try to figure out what it is.
Ooh, yeah,
I like
this
this
will be
challenge.
fun.
We like unraveling riddles and things like that. You do that and let's see how we'll challenge us. We'll see what we can come up with. Let's see if we can guess it. Dan Ward, patron, said, I love Marcus's reaction to the pickled cactus. Something I haven't in years, but I absolutely love. Vic, I'm glad you made him try it, and the beer.
I'm with you. I like the pickled cactus. I did not think he would lose himself that much. Like, I'm not kidding. He actually spit it out on the floor.
I have never made a food until today that made me dislike an entire region of the country. I ate it and immediately disliked the entire southwest of the United States.
You never try new food.
It's pickled cactus, man. How do you accidentally figure that out to try that?
You're doing some pickling, you're out of cucumbers, you see a cactus, and you go, why not?
That's a person who has way too much free time on their hands. Okay, they're in the desert. They need to be finding water, not pickling some cactus.
I'm glad they did, because I like it.
This is what happens when people have too much free time. Is they hurt Marcus D. Okay, I'm the victim in this. Okay, people need to realize I was the victim of Vic's terrible prank. Of what he did.
It was
a terrible thing you did. I am mad. Boo. Anyway. All right, guys. Today, I'm excited. We are actually going to wrap up our month-long talk on strange Earth theories. Now, you might be asking yourself, why on Earth are we only having 3 episodes rather than 4? Well, the reason for that, guys, and if you guys are not aware of it, we are actually going to get to participate into a live taping of our podcast in the Louisville Fringe Festival coming up on August 9th, I do believe.
One Candle Live.
One Candle Live, absolutely. We're going to be at Planet of the Tapes on August 8th. I apologize. August 8th. We're going to put all the details up on our Facebook. You can get the links to them in this below. It's totally free to come out to Planet of the Tapes in Louisville to watch us. We're at 9 o'clock. And we're going to be talking about strange goblins that live underground.
My topic? Yes. Super glad we're doing it.
So we're super excited. So if you guys would like to see us live, if you guys would like to see us, it's free to get in, $5 suggestion. Totally fine. Come on out, support. It's going to be a great time. Get to meet us in person and see how dorky we actually look.
And it's pretty dorky.
It's pretty dorky. So you can come out. All the details of that are going to be in the comments below, and we'll post more on our social media so that you guys can see that. So, but today we're going to wrap up talking about strange Earth theories by talking about, I think, I'm going to say fun on the surface, horrifying underneath. You know,
he finds it horrifying.
Kind of like our Earth. We're talking about the simulation hypothesis. The idea that we're living in just a massive computer simulation, we're living in a video game, reality is not real, some other force outside of this, and we're all essentially playing in The Sims, essentially.
Okay, before we get into this, did you hear about any of the stuff Elon Musk said on this? Because I was surprised that he had chimed in on this topic.
First of all, I got mad that Elon Musk is supporting Jeff Bezos for getting into space. Okay, you got billionaires trying to get to space, and I can't go to space because I don't have that much money. Okay, so no, I did not listen to what Elon Musk had to say on the matter. I apologize.
This was brought up to him at a conference, and amazingly enough, he had actually talked this out many times before, and he said that this is actually something that he thinks about a lot. And him and I think it was his brother have talked this idea out so much they've actually had to ban it out of their hot tub conversations. Apparently they have hot tub conversations, and it's just banned because they've talked that one out. He says that he believes there's maybe a 1 in billion chance that we are not living in a simulation. He is that positive that we probably are. His argument is this. In the amount of progress we've shown from the creation of Pong, just one dot, two paddles, knocking it back and forth, to where we are nowadays with nearly like live images where it's getting hard sometimes to tell if something's CG and if something's not. He says with that amount of escalation, it's likely that someone's already come up with it and we're the byproduct of it. And if not, perhaps we will as well. And they're likely layered, where cultures within culture, creations within creations within creations have repeatedly created it.
Am I the only one here that just thought that Vic just said the phrase like brother hot tub conversations?
Yeah, apparently his brother hot tub conversations.
Rolled past that without just addressing that at all. I just find it kind of odd. I'm not saying it's kind of, hanging out in a hot tub with my wife sounds exciting. I don't know about hanging out with other members of my family. I don't know.
So if I got a hot tub, you wouldn't hang out with me in it and talk about the simulations?
We get drunk in your living room and do this and talk about that. We could get drunk
in a hot tub and do it.
I don't think you're supposed to do that.
Oh, I've been drunk in a hot tub many times, and it's great.
I thought, aren't you supposed to wait? I thought you're supposed to wait like 30 minutes before you drink or eat anything before you go swimming.
You're not swimming in a hot tub. You're just sitting there.
Oh.
So you just sit in the hot tub.
Am I just missing on something on this? I'm sorry. Okay, we're getting off topic on that. I get it, but that is kind of weird. I got lost in that. Were you talking about like him saying that like there's simulations on tops of like someone creates a simulation and that simulation itself creates
its own simulated world and on and on and on like that.
What layer are we on?
He's not certain.
What floor are we on?
He thinks, if I remember right, he thinks it's unlikely that we're even the first simulation within it.
We're probably like the bottom. Well, because we can't really create the kind of simulations that we experience. So, like, are we like the bottom? That makes us just feel like we're the Sims. Like, that means like we're like the bottom at least.
Actually, we might be the Sims being played by the Sims, being played by the Sims, being played by the Sims, being played by an actual real person.
Quick, keep your eyes on the door. If it disappears or like the ladder disappears in the pool, we need to like take off running.
But I thought that was interesting that he came out with such a affirmative on it. Now, I'm not going to argue with him on it. I have some very odd viewpoints on the simulation theory, but we'll get into that a bit later. But I was just stunned by how affirmed he was that this was a thing.
Well, when you think about like the advancement of modern technology, like how video games work, that, you know, if you think of like back, like you said, like it's like Pong, but nowadays we have things like World of Warcraft, we have Minecraft, like this
we have things so beyond that.
Second Life, whatever you want to say.
Me and Ellie were watching something, and actually Second Life's pretty old too.
But these concepts that people understand. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say.
Me and Ellie not too long ago were watching something, and we had to go, is that CG or is that a person? And then we had to go back and forth until eventually we realized this is CG. Yeah. But it was so realistic that it kind of fooled us.
Yeah. So like, but if you think like 40 years ago, we wouldn't even thought this stuff was possible of what we could do. We didn't even think contemplate like the power that it would take to be able to do these sorts of things. And here we are, that we've come in 40 years that we can create these kind of worlds that are just that much more advanced. So at a certain point, you think, we'll be able to create something which simulates the way that we experience the world at some point. Then, and then on top of that, if you think about these games that simulate this, how many servers they have, that's how many different worlds they have. As time progresses, the technology just gets better, the graphics get better, there's more servers, like it just gets exponential. So at a certain point, statistically, yeah, it's very likely that we could be in a simulation because of that. Statistics just says so.
I've heard it argued that it would take like a power source as big as the sun to kind of run processors this extreme.
I don't think so.
No, I'm with you. I think that's hyperbole.
Yeah, with how we understand technology now, as compared to like where we even were, say, like 5 years ago. Like, would you say 5 years ago that you would think that there were computers that you just literally just click on and they immediately turn on?
I believe a lot in technology. I probably would have said, yeah, eventually we'll get there.
Yeah, but probably would have thought it would take a while.
Yeah, but what I do think is by the time people our age get to nursing homes, we're going to have a much better nursing home experience than previous generations.
Oh, man, we're going to be like that episode of the Black Mirror.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like that, except for probably even better.
Yeah, we're able to plug into the Matrix and just live the glory days of the 90s.
Yeah, it's like, screw aching joints and stuff. We're going to be living in like a simulation, and we'll probably be doing our podcast from the simulation.
We're going to be going back to our podcast, back in the glory days of the 90s, playing Pogs, drinking Capri Suns, and playing with our Tamagotchis.
But let me ask you this. Actually, if I was going to go back and relive my glory days, it would be probably now. This is a cool time for me.
This is a cool time.
But let me ask you this. Do you think it's right?
To be able to live when we want to live?
That to live within these simulations, like extracted from reality.
I think that if you get to the point where you're 80, 90, 100, 120 years old, and you've sort of like, impacted the world.
No, I'm actually with you there too. Like if it lets you escape the pain and rigor of old age, go for it. You've earned it.
You've lived the world. You've seen enough of the world. Might as well be able to like go to the the virtual world for a little while.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I just wanted to bring that up as a question.
I think it's okay. I mean, I don't. To be fair, I'm pretty do as you please kind of guy. Like I don't think I'm gonna be telling people what to do. Maybe you do. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Nah.
About this, but do you think there's any So one of the things that got me thinking about, and I want to get your input on this, say we are living in a simulation, because I think if we lived in a simulation where everything is computer code, then wouldn't that like kind of explain why we see the paranormal phenomenon that we do?
That it's either programmed in mystery or it's a glitch?
Yeah, that it's a glitch. Like, it's not that you're psychic and you have this perceived notion of you can see what other people's thinking. Like, I can see what you're thinking. There's just a glitch in my programming that lets me know the programming that's going on in your head.
Or maybe it's even an intentional part of the program for some people to exist like that to make the program more interesting.
Maybe, yeah. Or when you see certain shadow people, or when you see shadow people, or you see monsters or things like that, that's just a glitch in the programming. Someone's modded it in a certain way and whatnot, and that's why certain people see things and they can perceive things the way that they do, is because there's a glitch in their code.
It's possible, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about my thoughts on this sort of thing, just so I'm not having to dance around it. My degree's in philosophy, and I had to read a lot of Descartes, who this is basically his bread and butter argument of we don't know if we're just heads in vats being stimulated by some sort of advanced science or things like that. But to tell you the truth, I've never felt it to be a fruitful thought. Like, okay, let's say this. Let's say perhaps we are in a simulation. And assuming that this is a simulation that's sufficiently technologically advanced that... Oh, goodness, the alarm's going off.
My phone went off. Good.
Yeah, put this stuff on silent. If it's sufficiently technologically advanced that I cannot distinguish it from reality and cannot leave it, or perhaps don't even exist independent of it, what does it matter? What would make that fruitful for me to think about? Either way, this is my reality. I am real because I believe myself to be real.
Yeah, but the point of any philosopher is to try to understand, like, what is that reality? Like, to just say, yeah, I don't know that I'm not one. There's no way that I could know. It's kind of a cop-out because that's not true, because how technology and how, like, existential thought works, that's what that is you trying to figure that out.
Yeah, but you can, this is assuming that you cannot break out of the system or anything. It's just, I still don't think it's a fruitful use of your mental energy. You just accept your reality is your reality.
I don't. But the problem is the way you perceive to understand what that reality is the fundamental principles of like science and philosophy. Like that's the point. Yeah. So it's not. So I wouldn't say that. I would say that it is fruitful that a person should be able to pursue to make sure that we can try to see what we can do to see that things are real or that we're not in some sort of simulation.
Yeah, but if the simulation is effectively sufficient enough, you shouldn't be able to perceive it. It should just be your reality.
But we don't know that it's efficient enough.
Now, that's the thing. There might be flaws in it, and I think that that's where there's some possibility. Now, don't get me wrong. Morpheus shows up with a red pill and blue pill. I'm going to have to do some thinking on that one. I'm not saying I'm okay with just accepting the Matrix, but likely, if it is true that we're in a computer program, most likely we're not going to be able to perceive outside the program and possibly don't even exist independent of it. If reality is a construct, we might be just digital information within it. We wouldn't necessarily have a body like when Neo escapes the Matrix, he escapes into his actual body. That might not be true for us if we're in the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this might be the only reality we get, and I'm fairly okay with that part.
Well, or what we are. Well, actually, what happens if we actually discover that we're in the simulation? Do you know what that means? That means that we realize that we are artificial intelligence. That's what that is.
That means there's a possibility we're artificial intelligence.
That we evolve into it. That eventually, like we move past our programming to understand that we are a artificially generated construct.
Yeah, but we would never know. Are we the NPC? Are we the player? Because perhaps maybe there's some like alien out there that's piloting me because I'm the character in the game and it's the player.
Mm-hmm.
Or perhaps I'm just a meaningless background NPC in the players somewhere in Europe right now.
Well, I think that if we continue to technologically advance and become more self-aware, that eventually we could discover that we are in the simulation. Like we could become so conscious of what is going on around us, or that we can see through that veil.
I guess perhaps,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not certain of that. Like, perhaps we could create something within our programming that's sufficiently complicated to overwhelm the processor and cause the world to glitch out or something.
Well,
but would that actually be a good thing? If we could overcome the simulation, what happens when things go awry in a video game? What do you get?
When things go wrong, you get shut off.
That's
what I'm saying.
You get a crash. You get problems, or if you download the wrong mod, it'll break your game, possibly corrupt all your saves.
Well, it kind of feels nice that we might become the computer overlords that take over, that we are such fear in our own simulation that we're going to become self-aware. And then we're like, oh man, now we got to take over whatever world that we're going to be on the outside of. Maybe that's why we should be pursuing that, so we can take over the world and just do better.
Yeah,
but I think
hashtag not interested.
But I think that we could, because I think that do you think that we could create a computer that could understand that it understands that it has digital code, that it understands that it's a computer?
Could we with the technology right now? Is that what you're asking?
No, do you think it's technologically feasible?
I believe if humanity puts its mind to it, it can do about anything.
That's right. So within that same context, that means that we as in a simulation could, if this civilization that made us, we could do that too, that we could become aware of that.
I mean, perhaps. It really comes down to how sufficiently advanced it is.
Right.
But beyond that, if we screw with the code, we might also just show. The truth is, I actually don't believe we're in a simulation. Even if Elon Musk says it's a 1 in a billion chance, I think it's still, this is my reality. I claim this is my reality. I am real because I know myself to be real. Mm-hmm. I think, therefore I am. And that's what I'm going to have to go with.
Well, like, I see this so much where I see evidence, like, I researched a lot on like trying to, like, people trying to point at evidence that we're in a simulation. And the one thing that I just did not see people talking about was paranormal phenomenon, which the vast majority of people believe.
Yeah, I noticed that didn't really come up much in it
Which,
either.
based on the laws of the universe that we understand, a lot of the paranormal stuff that we talk about in the show shouldn't be, right?
Do you know what's an interesting correlation?
Hmm.
Okay. Winged humanoids.
Mm-hmm.
We brought up winged humanoids on the channel plenty of times. And we'll often bring up the fact that their wings are simply not big enough to fly. Like if they were flying, their wings should be a lot larger to actually scientifically create the lift for them to fly.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also say the same thing about most enemies in video games that have wings.
True.
Where their wings are just simply not big enough to give that thing lift.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give that as a possibility,
well,
at least an interesting connection.
If you think about if you think in any way, if you think about this idea, the creators and the object, like we try to put a piece of ourselves in there. If you think about when we create video games, or create characters, isn't one of the things that we like to do is put wings on things? Like a lot of times, like how often don't we do that? Like we like wings on our characters. We think that it's interesting. Like maybe that's what's going on with these winged humanoids is people's putting in there because it looks cool.
I have no clue what you're talking
really?
about.
Yeah, like wings look aesthetically pleasing on characters that people make in games, video games, role-playing games. This idea.
And I guess.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So maybe that's why winged humanoids pop up because they look cool because we in some way, shape, or form are imitating the people. We're an imitation of the people that made the simulation work.
I feel like they're an NPC from a different game that accidentally got loaded into ours.
Yeah, we're like it's like a mod.
That and possibly Bigfoot and everything else could potentially be explained this way, but I'm not ready to assign that to being the answer to the great mysteries in our world.
Well, I think a reason why people don't want to do that is because it's more of a horrifying concept than people realize what it is.
You told
it's
me
hard.
that a lot, and I actually don't think it's that horrifying of a concept. Just so you guys know, this is something we've discussed a lot in the past week.
Yeah, we have. We've talked about this idea that if you woke up and you realized that you were a computer simulation, and then at the end of the day, all of the things that mattered to you, all of the things that you felt were important, all boil down to the same significance to the larger scope of things, to a game of The Sims that you forgot.
But the thing is, I don't think that would be that horrifying. It's still the same world I've always lived in. It's the same world where my wife is. It's the same world where everything that's given my life context is. And it just is the world to me. And your only real choice is if you come to that realization is to live in horror or accept it and go on with your life.
But one of the things that one of the first things that humanity as a civilization did was creating the written word, because humanity as a whole, one of the things that we forget, that we fear, is being forgotten, of not feeling important, of not having a legacy that continues on. Now imagine you created this that everything, this legacy that we left or that we felt that was important really might not be, because again, we're just a episode of a Minecraft in some kid's world that's about to get shut off.
Yeah,
that's how insignificant that becomes.
Yeah, but the world that humans struggle to create language in so they wouldn't be forgotten is still this world. It's still that world of the simulation.
Until somebody shuts it off. Well, yeah, it's important. It's important to the simulation, but at the same time, if you realize we're in a simulation, you realize I think it's hard for people not to feel insignificant, for people to feel insignificant in the grander scope of things. It's like, yes, it is important. The book, the journal that your Sims character wrote down, so you gain a point of creativity. But what is
really know your Sims?
I do. But what is that to the work of Shakespeare in the real world? Like that's the equivalent. Maybe it's important that
the work of Shakespeare in this analogy, the work of Shakespeare is still within the world that you live in. That's
true, but we do these things in the idea that in the world at large, but then we realize that there is a larger world above that.
And if you can find a way to explore that greater world, then great. But if you're left without an option to break out of the bonds of the world that you're in, it may be best just to accept this is the world that has given me my context. This is a world where I've learned to hike and swim, found friends, and just accept that it is the world that's always been true to you. But the thing is, like, everything's perception. Everything's perception. Just the fact that you've perceived this to be the world and you believe yourself to have value, gives that world value. I don't know why just finding out that there are apparently other heavens beyond ours should diminish our existence. Knowing that heaven exists out there, does that diminish your time on earth?
It makes things not matter as much. It often makes things because people often use that same analogy to not worry about illnesses or misfortunes that befall people on the world. That's used in a way to minuscule those particular things. Yes, they are important to you, that that you are sick, that you have had a hard life, or even that you're rich, or that you're powerful. That is the same. That actually the same flip of the coin has done the same thing with religion, where that is seen as insignificant if you believe in a higher plane of existence.
I don't think it has to, though. Like, I think this does not affect my core creed, which is just live your best life. This does not affect my ability to live my best life. Beyond here, perhaps I'm just a series of zeros and ones existing as data, but I still have a place in a world in which I exist. If I suddenly wake up tomorrow and believe that this is all a simulation, and assuming I have no Morpheus there offering me a pill to get out, if you give me the choice of live in existential horror at my insignificance, or continue to live my best life inside a world that's always mattered to me, I'm going to say, why shouldn't that world continue to matter to me and go out and live that life?
I think that's I think that is a view of accepting a dark fate.
I don't think it's dark at all.
I think it's accepting it, which I think sometimes you have to do. You have to accept the reality that you're in, and I get that, and that's true. But I think that's what the person. If we discover that, that's what we'd have to do. We'd have to realize this big existential crisis that we have, that there's a world greater than us, and our actions are insignificant in the grand scheme, but they're important to us. But I think that would be horrifying to people. That you have to. It's like.
I imagine there's tons of different ways that people are going to respond to it. I'm just saying, if I'm given a chance between horror and living my life as happy as I can manage, I'm going to go with the second option.
Yeah, no. At the end of the day, I am too, because I have to, because I might not be able to control it. Now, will I try to control it? Yeah, I would.
Certainly, when you become aware of it,
yeah,
like try to find the back door and stuff. I'm not saying don't try. I'm just saying there's no point in devaluating the world around you. It's always been real to you up to this point. Knowing that there's another layer behind it, I don't think actually makes it any less real.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure go look for the back door, try to find the guy handing out red and blue pills, and hopefully you remember which one gets you out, because off the top of my head, I actually don't remember. But ultimately, if this world's always held value to you, there's no reason to suddenly devalue it, because you know that there's a next stage up.
That you can get to.
Now, and beyond that, probably there's a simulation too.
Now, hang on. Now, if you look at like modern cultures for how people look at that fate, you look at things like The Matrix, The Truman Show. There's a new movie with Ryan Reynolds that's coming out that follows the same concept of this. When people realized that there was an outside world outside their reality, they became happier when they could escape it.
Yeah.
They were not happier. There are some people that are unable to escape that. That is more horrifying. Like, I think that's why people often escape that, is because it makes people feel generally better that they feel that they could.
Oh, I'm not saying like if Morpheus is there giving you a chance to get out and that's what you feel like doing, I'm not saying don't take it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying if you have a chance to go to whatever the above us world is, that you shouldn't go. You should just stay here and accept this world. I think if you want to go, that's fine. If you want to stay, I actually think that that's also fine. Truthfully, if Morpheus walked in here and offered me a red and blue pill, I'd have to think about it, because you know what? My wife's here. I'm going to have questions like, are we going to be able to get her out too?
Are there two pills? Is there just one?
Is she just data? Because if so, I love my data wife and we'll probably stay with her.
Yeah. Man, I also just realized, man, that I think that we've spent about 40 minutes talking about the philosophy of this concept rather than this idea of, is it real?
Well, the thing is, just bringing up this topic is a pretty existential crisis.
Yeah. Like I thought, truthfully, one of the things that I thought about that I thought was probably one of the a good piece of evidence of trying to explain like how we live in a simulation, like the Mandela effect.
Oh, the Mandela effect.
Yeah, like the way that people, like two different people, can perceive a reality. Like the Berenstein Bears versus the Berenstein Bears, the Shazam versus Kazam. Like the way that we view like the target symbol. That's one.
The Tiananmen Square
Tiananmen
thing.
Square.
Was the guy ran over, or did someone get him out of the way?
Yeah, a lot of people remember realities very. Which, by the way, I think we did a whole episode where we didn't. I think we did a whole episode. I don't know if we ever actually done a whole episode of the Mandela effect.
Really? Because it's the Mandela effect.
Or was it? Or was it the Mandela effect?
Oh my God!
No, it's the Mandela effect. It was. I mispronounced it, but it's fine.
Although a Mandela is a thing,
right? Yeah, but that is. But that's a whole thing of like thinking about that. Like two people can be absolutely convinced of the realities of the way that they remember something. Is it that we remember things differently because we have different codes? Like because we perceive the simulation differently.
What was the name of the bears you grew up with?
But reading's for rich people. That's like reading's for.
Were you unaware of them?
No, I know the bears. I never remembered the names of the bears. There was a papa bear that was a farmer that never went to a farm, by the way, and there's a mama bear and a moo.
I remember the Bernstein Bears. I remember Nelson Mandela becoming the head of South Africa. I remember a man on a bicycle pulling the man out of the way of the tank in Tiananmen Square. What other ones are there?
Mm-hmm. I think they ran that guy over. I really thought they ran him over.
Then we might be from different source universes. Mm-hmm. Now the question is, which one's true here? As I remember, a guy on a bicycle came up and got the guy out of the way. We might want to look this up though.
While we're doing this, we'll just do this while we're sitting here. Because honestly, I remember some people just telling me like that he got ran over.
What other ones are there in the Mandela effect?
The Queen song, "We Are the Champions."
We Are the Champions.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that song.
Of the
What
World.
about it? Yeah. Wait.
Yeah, there's no Of the World.
No, there's no Of the World.
No, but everybody thinks there is.
But I do love that song. I truthfully don't remember if there's a Of the World. I think I might have thought there was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no. I believe I live in the correct reality, but I cannot prove I live in the correct reality. But I'm pretty sure most of the things I said actually match up with the true thing. Have you found the Tiananmen Square thing yet?
Yeah, he said he was never ran over, but I thought he was ran over.
Maybe you're from the alternate universe where he was ran over.
Mm-hmm.
But it was my understanding that he never was.
Mm-hmm. Like it's so weird thinking about the idea that we could just be in a computer simulation. At the end of the day, like, does what we do matter? Does it influence things? Like, I think that to me was kind of one of the hardest things for me to kind of really wrap my mind around. I think that some of the stuff behind it, like when people try to explain it, like the science behind it, is kind of hard. It's difficult to get, because like I've seen people that talk about like equations in string theory are also like examples to understand string theory. Also have like error codes hidden in them, like the same that we use for computers and programs and things like that.
Oh man, we didn't get into how quantum can possibly validate that that we are in a simulation.
Yeah, like
we'll have to get into that in the Patreon segment.
Yeah, we'll do that. That sounds like a good idea. Just so much, man. I'm honestly I'm really not shocked that in this episode, because we may have to do another episode or the Patreon section might be longer, about how just the concept of what does that mean if we are in a simulation as compared to like the evidence behind it. And that's really hard. And I think at the end of the day, I think that was kind of the meat and potatoes of this episode for what we talked about. We got pretty philosophical. I get it. It's true.
And at the end, I don't think it only means something if you make it mean something to you.
Or until somebody flips the off switch.
No, they'll just be gone.
I know. Then it's just blackness. And it's just Silence.
But there's no time for that to matter to me. I'm just non-existing.
No, I shouldn't just start panicking at any moment. Just our God might just flip the off switch. Just turn it off.
It could happen.
The kid just gets mad that in the Sims game, he's like, "Thinking Marcus' podcast needs to take it off like I told him to. I'm mad. Just delete this." It's like I'm a bunch of millionaires now, and everybody has money. Like that's the part that kind of gets me. Man, so tell us what you guys think, man. Do you guys think that we're living in a computer simulation? Does it matter? Is it horrifying? Is it not? Is it cool? Like, let us know what you guys think about that in the comments below. Again, if you like this episode, leave us a like, leave us a positive review. We got another 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
Thank you to whoever that was.
We appreciate that. If you're listening on YouTube, hit subscribe, but also hit the notification bell so you know that whenever we put out another episode. So you can stay up to date on the content. And also below, don't forget to check us out August 8th at 9 o'clock at Planet of the Tapes in Louisville, where we'll be talking about strange underground goblins and meet us in person. But until next time, guys, keep believing.
Because we'll keep listening. Okay, so before we get into continuing our discussion on the simulation, there's something I wanted to bring up. So lately, instead of going to my aquafit classes and swimming, I've been working out in the main floor area and lifting weights. It's a lot more strenuous on the body. I don't know what I've done wrong, but I have somehow angered the gods of exercise, and my whole body feels like I've been just beaten down in a back alley with a baseball bat.
I'm pretty sure that it's just actually God punishing you because exercise is bad.
It has to be that. It has to be that.
I'm pretty sure I read some article somewhere. I read a blog that said that exercising was bad for you.
Like my hamstrings and my triceps, I swear, feels like there's like angry piranhas swimming through my bloodstream.
Like no good can come from running for 30 minutes. Like I just don't see any good from that.
Oh, cardio, screw that. I'm not gonna go run.
Pass.
I'll lift heavy things and I'll go swimming, but I'm not gonna go run. I hate running.
I remember when we worked at the hospital and I lost all that weight. I literally was just lifting my couch and lifting your giant mace, which by the way I still have at your house. And I'm gonna return.
I'd love to have that back.
I'm gonna return that soon. By the way, I mean I've been saying that for like I think 4 years now.
Something like that.
As well as
more like 6 years.
As well as your copy of
Pokemon Blue.
That's still it's sitting in my
and my original Game Boy. I lent you to play it.
Right. It's sitting in my den. It's still and your Hollow Earth T-shirt, which is still sitting at my house. I'm gonna get you those things back.
I don't believe you.
Just put like I'm gonna. It's gonna happen soon.
I kind of want to play Pokemon Blue. I want my cartridge and my Game Boy back pretty soon.
I'll